the most related word these days are wellness, that how we can have that wellness in our life. And that's why we are having this wellness lifestyle series, bringing all the experts in on our panel so that you can know what it is to be having a well-being lifestyle. And it is very important that we start implementing these small aspects in our life, and that will make you more happy, more healthy, and more full of life. So why not be alive then just being said, oh, I'm fearful, I'm having this, I'm having that. Just be alive and live the life fully. So today I welcome you, a very important and a very loving and sweet guest of our today. And let me first welcome her. Yes, welcome Karishma today. She is
Hi,
Karishma
Ira.
Manchanda.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Nice, no? So I'll tell more about Karishma, but I said she had such a pleasing aura, pleasing personality that it's lovely to see her. Like I remember, it's my own remembrance, but I say that I first time when I saw her, she was giving a meditation on chakra, and from that to till here, like she has transformed herself. And that's why I especially invite people who have transformed their lives so they know how other can also transform their life. Absolutely. And so I tell more about Karishma. She is a spiritual counselor, teacher, author also. She's like recently wrote books also, and she's like 3 books she wrote, like Cracking the Code of Akashic Records, the workbook on chakra healing, and consultation skills for healers and therapists. Like I think she is like taken the march running so that everybody heal themselves. Right, Krishna?
True that, absolutely. This is the need of the hour for everybody, I believe.
Actually. And she really helps people, especially by using Akashic intelligence as a spiritual resource. I know about Akashic intelligence and Akashic records, but I think my audience and I also wants to know more about it. So we will come back to it. And she is a master instructor of healing with Akashic records again. Akashic Records coach, Akashic Records consultant, soul profiling expert. Like these are big words. I hope my audience doesn't run away. So you better be, all my audience be stay here and listen to it properly, because something if you don't know, it's the time that way you can learn about it and know more about it. So don't feel that these are hush hush language. These are all normal thing. Once you will start knowing more about it, it will make you feel very relaxed towards it. And she's also graduate for crystal therapy and healing and energy meditation, hypnotherapist, past life regression, certified life coach.
It's a long list. You can leave that out, I believe.
I think we should leave it and we should talk about what she can give it to us today, because I
Absolutely.
think that's more important rather than just talking about what all degrees we have.
True.
Right. So, Karishma, like I'm really happy to welcome you in this show.
Thank you for having me here.
And so, the first question that wellness and how these Akashic records, I'm like just directly jumping to Akashic record because I think that question just clinged my head. What are Akashic records?
Okay. So, Akashic records are typically a vibrational imprint of the soul. So, for all the lifetimes that we have lived since inception of our soul, since the time of Big Bang, right? We have lived multiple lifetimes again and again. But when we come into an incarnation like this in human form, we don't really remember what has happened earlier to us. Yet we carry a lot of things that we need to clear out in this particular lifetime, which is being lived by you and me and people like us in the form of karmic patterns, in terms of experiences, in terms of how we are interacting with other beings, so on and so forth. And many a times when we are doing all this, we get stuck with something. We are not able to move forward in our life. It could be in field of your health, your well-being. It could be, your femininity-related issues. It could be even things like money, abundance, marriage for that matter, not able to get married. So all of these things are typically happening because there's some kind of a karmic lesson that needs to be learned. And being in this particular lifetime, when the amnesia happens in this, when the soul comes into this particular incarnation, we don't really understand what has happened to us, why we are manifesting these kind of blockages and hindrances and these kind of roadblocks in our life. And that is where this vibrational tool called Akashic Records comes into existence. And let me just give you one more understanding that's going to be helping you and other members also to understand what Akashic Records really are. So, Akashic Records typically means the records of the Akasha. And Akasha is a Sanskrit word which means the fifth element, the ether, the space that fills the rest of the elements that we have, which is your air, water, fire, earth. The fifth element is Akasha. So anything that holds the rest of the four elements together to give it a physical form is Akasha. And when we're talking about Akashic records, we're typically referring to the book of life, which is carrying all the deeds, actions, thoughts, intentions, anything that we would have thought of in any of the lifetimes, and even future possibilities. So when we feel stuck, we can simply tap into that intelligence, understand why we are experiencing this roadblock, use that roadblock to understand what can I do in the current situation, so that once I'm able to shift those energies, those roadblocks are not experienced in life. I feel more empowered. I feel more determined to move forward in life rather than remaining a victimhood mode. Oh, I'm feeling stuck. I can't do this. Because that will not lead us anywhere. That is not the part of wellness at all. Wellness is all about thriving in life, moving forward with full zeal, enthusiasm, health, prosperity, and more so, happiness, calm, and content within. Isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. But I am just again something is still missing with me. Like like these Akashic records that you're talking about is like written somewhere that I can just tap in and see what it is, or it's like I have to meditate on it. What exactly it is?
Okay, so earlier it used to be very, very difficult for people to access the Akashic records, but now as the energy of the earth is changing and we are having so many energy portals opening up, we're able to have direct access to creator consciousness. And when we are saying creator consciousness, that means it is a far more vast reservoir of information, which you and I are just small elements of. So when I'm able to tap into creator consciousness, with the energy, the meditations, and the protocols that we use in Akashic Records and healing, when I'm able to tap into that creator consciousness, I'm able to get a very different, independent, and non judgmental approach towards what has happened earlier. Because if I realize myself, for example, in one of the past lives, I would have killed my mate, for example, right? So today, if that particular person is my husband, and I get to know from an ego perspective, oh, I killed my mate, so how will I be reacting? Either I'll be full of guilt, shame, or even perhaps more fear that I might do something else now. But when we are tapping into the creator consciousness, it's a very unique, non-judgmental, and absolutely loving, unconditional loving energy. And when we are able to tap into that, and when then we look at what has happened, the perspective completely changes. And we sometimes also learn that people who would have given us the most difficult experiences in this lifetime have been the most loving beings in some of the other lifetimes for us. So imagine how the complete characteristics of the other person in our life changes. It's a
Yeah.
very unique technique and a methodology that we teach, and it can be accessed by anybody. You don't really have to be a psychic or a clairvoyant or all those big jazzy words.
Yeah,
Anybody can tap into.
I was about to ask that like it's looking really fancy, but how a normal person will tap into it.
As I mentioned, it's something that is very simple. You only need to understand certain steps to tap into that awareness and practice it more often. Because just like going to the gym, maybe first time you go, you are not able to lift all those heavy weights, but then you slowly build up your muscles. Similarly, here also, you will have to slowly and gradually, with daily practice of 10-15 minutes, you will have to build up your reading muscles, but eventually everybody reaches there.
Oh wow, that's great. That's like good to hear. I think now I'm a little clear about it. So let's go about the woman well-being. So
Absolutely.
the topic today is actually the woman well-being. That how important is the woman in the society, and how important is her well-being? Because I think woman is the person who creates the life and energy at your home. Without her well-being, nothing works properly. Just imagine if your woman in the house is missing, what will happen to your food? What
Ask men.
absolutely ask men. So I think all the men who are not watching it should actually watch, because even it's their duty also to keep their woman happy and work for their well-being.
True.
And I think all the guys out there, all the male, all the females, just take care of each other, take care of the well-being of each other. I think this is what the society needs right now, very bad.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So there is a one common problem that females are facing right now. That's PCOS, PCOD. I think it's all about hormonal imbalances.
Correct.
And
Absolutely.
what I checked, because even I'm a very research person in this, and I checked it last to last year, 30% of the lab reports are of PCOS and PCOD. Rest of the
Yes.
diseases are others. So
Yes.
imagine 30%. So
Absolutely, Ira. Rather, there are a lot of research which is now going on in CIB, and a lot of other elements are, agencies are popping into it to understand what it really is the root cause of it. And till time, nobody has been able to identify the root cause of these issues from a clinical standpoint, right?
absolutely, I add on to it that I was a person who myself suffered from PCOS and PCOD from a really long time, and none of the person could actually help me out. And even I talked to different gynaes, they clearly said to me, from medical point of view, there is no cure.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the same point, they are not even able to tell us why is it happening to us, right? They
Yes,
simply say that there are hormonal imbalances and that is it. But how did those hormonal imbalances really happen to us? Until time, clinically, this has not been identified as to what is the root cause of these things. However, if we look at historically what is happening, and even in the spiritual world, PCOS and working with hormonal imbalances is not something which is very new to us, right? And when we try to understand what are those components who are adding into a woman who is experiencing any kind of a hormonal imbalance, let's say PCOS for that matter. So why is it really happening? If you understand what happens in PCOS is that the male hormones elevate and the adequate amount of female hormones are not produced in the body. And as a result, there is a disbalance of the divine masculine, the divine feminine, which happens in every one of us. We all have the divine feminine, divine masculine in us. And eventually, this leads to suppression of the femininity and a higher expression of the masculinity. So this is how the hormonal things really work out. But when you understand what are the factors that are contributing to this imbalance, right? It could be many. So it's not easy for one to point out, okay, this is the exact reason. But NCIB recently has also found out that women who have had difficult puberty
hmm,
and more than that, early childhood traumas which are either coming from the parents or the ancestors or the caretakers. Those are majorly contributing towards issues like these. That's the reason inner child healing has become a mainstream these days, because when we really dive into your subconscious mind to understand what is that you're holding on to, those kind of things and then start to come out. Let me give you an example. It starts with ovaries, right? PCOS is all about ovarian cysts. So when we talk about ovaries, what are ovaries? Ovaries is that point where a woman procreates.
hmm,
It's the point of creation, the way that universe creates. It's a microcosm of the universe itself, which is there in a woman's body. We procreate. But when PCOS happens, we are not able to produce healthy eggs, and therefore we tend to gain symptoms which are leading to infertility, right? What does that mean? That means somewhere or the other, the flow of the femininity that is there within us, that's been compromised. And most of the researches that are going on when we're trying to understand the psychological linkage, the emotional well-being and other elements around women's PCOS and her early age, there are tremendous amount of symptoms and correlations coming up that the woman, the child, when she was a child actually, her femininity was suppressed. Either she was not allowed to express what she believes, either she's not allowed to aspire for a career of her choice, or she had so many other siblings that she was undermined. Perhaps the parents were looking for a boy, not for a girl. And even when she's growing up today, when we have women going into a corporate world, there's always a gender war in the corporate world also, right? And when she comes back home also, it's expected that she will fulfill all the roles of a woman in the family. And then when she's compromising on her own health, how do we expect that she's able to overcome all those challenges to ensure her own well-being? And rightly, as you said earlier, if she's not able to have her own well-being in place, how can she ensure the well-being of each and every person in the family?
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Totally. So, as you very clearly said, that it's about how the childhood, the traumas in the childhood, are able to heal, and that's how they become more clear. So, I'm just want to make sure about it. So, have you done cases where you just fix the childhood, or you just help them to recover there, and their PCOS has been released or cleared it out?
Yes, there have been cases. However, this is not only about inner child per se. So I wanted to add some more components into it. It is primarily inner child healing, but when we choose to come into this existence, we choose to come into a particular lineage, the role of epigenetics is also very, very critical. How our parents were, how they were treating us, how they were being treated by their parents. And that is why ancestral and transgenerational traumas via DNA flows through epigenetics. So now we have a full-fledged stream of science talking about how the traumas of our ancestors, maybe perhaps 10 generations back, is affecting who we are right now. That's science, that's epigenetics.
Yeah.
So when we are referring to all of that, we also have to understand what kind of traumas our parents have gone through, what kind of traumas our ancestors have gone through. And that is how Akashic Records gets into the picture. And also, especially if you're a woman, there are a couple of things that we tend to question when we are having a client who is coming with a PCOS issue. Number one question is, what were the emotional state of the person when the PCOS was either first diagnosed or the first symptoms, whether in teenage or in early adulthood, it was happening. So, what was the emotional state? What kind of experience was the girl going through? Then we tend to dive deeper into what were the elements in the family. Was she allowed to express her true authentic self, or was she tried to curb down by her parents, by her caretakers, by societal conditioning for that matter? And then we know even deep down, dig deeper to understand what were the emotions of the mother when she was conceiving that particular child, when the child was only in the womb. That's what birth reimprinting is all about, right? So if the mother was already feeling that the father is away and there's nobody to take care of her, and she's because she's a woman and she can't do this, she can't do that, so all that anxiety is bound to become a part of the girl's DNA, and she's more prone to develop hormonal imbalances. The certain other cases where we had certain with certain clients, it was also identified that because they were suppressed, they had to elevate the masculinity. They had to become either violent and like a rebel, or they had to take certain roles which were much mature as compared to what they ideally should be. They were basically, there's some people who are comforters, so to speak. So they take everything onto themselves. Okay, mom, you don't cry, I will not do like this. So they're suppressing themselves, right? So all those suppressions also happen. And we all know in today's generation, we are still better off, but our mothers have gone through a difficult, age altogether. Our grandparents have gone through a even difficult stage of life. And then, because at that point in time, the social taboos and the gender divide was so vast. So all of that as a part of our ancestral karma also becomes a part of our DNA, and we manifest these kind of hormonal imbalances.
Absolutely, that's very nice. And so even for the PCOS, there has been very like many dietitian also is coming out, like we'll cure your PCOS with diet only. So can you add more insight to it?
Sure. So diet alone can give you temporary temporary relief. It can help you manage your symptoms. It can tell you that you should be eating low GI food, you should be low on carb, and you should be having moderate amount of proteins, some amount of healthy fats. There's the standard PCOS paradigm that is always there with nutritionists. I'm not saying that we should not go. Rather, diet is a very, very important component, because what we are feeding into our body, into our soul, is also producing energy, and we are reciprocating that energy either in form of, an imbalance or a balance for that matter. So, nutrition, the right kind of nutrition, is very, very important. So there's no doubt about it. But nutrition alone may not be able to give you the results that you're looking forward to. Nutrition alone can give you can put you into a stage where you're coming back into the balance in terms of your hormones, but you're not slipping back into that imbalance, is where you need to really work on the root cause, which comes from your emotional well-being, your mental structure, your framework, your how much now are you taking charge of your life. Okay, fine, what has happened earlier we can heal through, inner child healing and other stuff, but now in the current moment that you are aware of what has happened then, are you ready to forgive that? Are you ready to love yourself, reparent yourself for that matter, right? The love that we were always looking from our parents, we were not able to get that. Are we able to love ourselves now? And that's the reason self-love is so much in, and you are one of those authors of the books. I realized that self-love is all about reaching your highest state of potential, nothing else.
Absolutely, totally agree with you. So I think it's such a great insight. And what would you recommend that a woman comes for a PCOS, so or the health related problems like woman health? It could not only PCOS, some like discharge or infertility or anything. That how to balance this imbalance? What you recommend that should be the flow or all the areas that a woman needs to
The
take
first
care
thing in life is definitely you need to understand the major factors that are contributing to it. Number one is the nutrition, right? I would refrain the use of word called diet,
of?
because we're
Yeah,
not ready. We are not talking about the facts. We're talking about lifestyle change right now,
yeah,
right? So we're not looking at a quick fix. We are looking at a long-term solution, which is a lifestyle change. So we're looking at nutrition first, because what you're putting into your body is what your body becomes, right? So that's very important. Second, we need to understand your own childhood wounds. We need to go really deep. Either you're doing through a hypnotherapeutic consultation, or you're doing through, we have also created certain journals, self-help journals also, that we give to our clients as a homework. I will try to, I'll try to put a link somewhere, so if somebody wants to
absolutely.
pick it up, they can pick it up. uh, do a lot of meditational work to understand and go within, what is happening in your body, how are you restructuring your body now with positive thoughts and all. So I have a meditation specifically for womb healing, because we all women who face PCOS or any kind of hormonal imbalance, typically everything starts with the womb stage, right? So when we are carrying a child, or when we were in the womb of a child, so that's where we are talking about fetal re-imprinting. We're talking about nurturing the womb, because womb is the center store of everything that we produce, and that is why we are called procreators, because we co-create the way that the creator creates universe. We are creating life, right? So I'll try to put a meditation also. Somebody wants to read and go through it, more than welcome for that. Then of course you have to also look at how are you feeding yourself energetically? Your thoughts, your mental framework, your relationships, are they healthy, supporting, or they're toxic? Right? So you have to try to declutter your life physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, in all possible ways. Try doing yoga and things like that. So it is a combined holistic effort. So one thing will not work here. It is a combined holistic effort. And I have seen cases wherein, with just about 6 to 8 months of proper therapy, proper nutrition, people have been able to completely reverse this. So much so that, I have somebody's report also. I would want to name the person here, but it clearly says that no more symptoms of PCOS witnessed. I mean, that's the kind of miracle of the combined effort of healing, therapeutic healing, and holistic healing is all about.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. It is actually very amazing and very in need. Actually, people really need it.
Absolutely.
When I was actually you were saying about the womb, one question that came to me, and I think you should tell the audience because it's very important for them. Like when we talk about the womb, most of the females, especially in India, they want to hide it. They don't want to
Yes.
talk about it.
So
Right.
that's another element of suppressing your womb, because we have been so much used to suppressing our femininity because of societal conditioning earlier, and now because we're referring to inner child healing and parental healing and ancestral, transgenerational karma which is coming into the picture. So the way that we've been brought up, so there are two things that happens. One is nature, one is the nurturing. So nature we can't change. So we have to know what, even if we are out of balance with nature, we have to come back into the balance with nature. That's a harmony of nature, right? But the nurturing affects us, the way that we've been brought up. So when we have been so much used to suppressing our femininity when we're growing up during our adulthood, we're told not to do this, not to do that, and we think it is okay because everybody feels so, not realizing that how much of damage in terms of suppressing our femininity it is doing. And sometimes when women feel so much suppressed, they elevate their masculinity to give it back to the person, to push it back, that I can take it more. And when that is happening, we are again, bringing more of gap, more of this distance between the balance that we're looking forward to, that between the divine masculine and divine feminine. So we have to actually learn to understand that we are not here to reject anybody, and it starts with us. The moment that we start to imbibe who we are unapologetically, without any prejudice, without any judgment, that's the first step to self love.
Absolutely. I love you for saying this. Yeah. So I think she cleared all the doubts, and this is why I specifically asked her that there are very many females who are not able to even talk about their womb, talk about their vagina, talk about their inner health, and actually understand that is the time you're starting your suppression. And
Yes,
that is what it is important to realize, that there are therapists and there are beautiful people very near to us. Like we have one person sitting next to us, and they can help you out. So why not? Why not try to something do differently? If something that you are already doing and it has not given you result, it doesn't mean that all those things were bad. It means that you have to try something new.
absolutely. So there's something more that is still requiring some kind of unearthing. We have to get into it and unearth that thing. And once that is unearthed, it shifts the energy of your soul. And once that happens, you're able to manifest newer experiences.
Absolutely. So, guys, I think it was such a informative. Karishma, thank you for answering all those questions. It was so informative,
Pleasure
and
for having me.
it was just so lovely. I think we can have more chat with her about more woman well-being. I think if
Anytime.
already we are welcome to do that, because I think I'm very connected to it, because I have suffered it and I know very well it doesn't
Mm.
get fixed with anything else. Like
And
it.
another thing also is, even doctors today, what are they recommending? They are recommending over the counter contraceptive pills just to manage it. And that typically is actually suppressing more of the femininity. It's causing more harm than the good. So even those are not an option. And when we are doing that, again, it goes back to the same. Again, you're suppressing the womb. You're stopping it from procreating. And when you're doing that, you're suppressing who you really are.
Yes, absolutely. So I think, guys, all the people who are viewing it and who gonna watch it later, she will drop the links of meditation to check out. Do the meditation. That will really help. It's like take a one step for your own well-being. And
Absolutely.
more like she also conducts, like as she's a trainer and master for Akashic Records, she takes a lot of classes. So there's a link also given. Go through the links, see if it connects with you. Why not? Try something more. There is so much to learn in this world that we can keep learning, and keep learning. And actually, the more you learn, you'll get to know you, coming back to yourself,
True.
whom you have actually forgotten. And then after learning so much, then you know, oh, everything starts from here.
Absolutely. So it's an absolutely amazing homecoming, so to speak.
Absolutely. So it was wonderful, Karishma. Thank you for being online and guiding
Thank
our
you.
audience. It was just so lovely watching you and hearing from you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Ira. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Take care.
Bye
Bye.
bye.